Leader, you are a leader. You are a leader. Rising right up the ranks. You're a leader. Lessons will teach you just how to reach your endless ambitions. Oh, yeah. Look at yourself in the mirror. Turn that frown upside down. Show what you're working with. You can't depend on someone else to see if.
Okay, welcome. Good morning and good afternoon, depending on where you are, where you're watching this. My name is Ramon Lowe. I'm the Director of Membership and Industry Engagement for AMAC, and this is our monthly virtual series, Legends and Leapers. So before we get to our wonderful guests, I want to make a couple of housekeeping announcements. First and foremost, please make sure you renew your membership because it is that time of the year. We are getting busy. We are our Econ conference. If you're viewing this, or depending on when you're viewing this, it is tomorrow, and then we have our annual conference coming up. So you want to make sure that you renew your membership so you can take advantage of many, many benefits that come with it. I mentioned one of the benefits being you can join a chapter. You got involved on a national level. Now we want to make sure you get involved at a local level. We have 7 chapters at the moment that are stood up, and we have a couple more that are going to be in the queue. And the only way you can join those chapters is if you are a member of the national office. So please make sure that you renew your membership. Another benefit to that is, and I've said it earlier, is our annual conference, the Airport Business Conference, the 40th, by the way, 4 decades old. And it will be in New Orleans, June 28th to July 2nd. If you want to experience, basically the live extension of what AMAC is, from the advocacy, the networking, the business making, all of that, you need to come to this conference. It is June 28th to July 2nd. It is going to be in New Orleans. And of course, one of the benefits of being a member, you get the best discount that comes with registering for the show. So you want to make sure you come because, again, you cannot reserve your room until you register. And if you are unaware or maybe aware, but Essence Fest is taking over right around the time when we are there. And so you can imagine that the hotel inventory is very, very in tight supply. So you want to make sure you register, which will then send an email to each and every one of you to go ahead and reserve your room in our block. Anyway, I wanted to say all that and kind of pivot quickly to our panel here because I know everyone has a hard stop. You might notice 2 of our hosts, a little different, but no less than our regulars. So we have Isela Toledo and Justina Mann pitch hitting for Ricky and Lauryn, and they will introduce this month's Legend and Leaper, who are 2 people in climates much colder than where I am. So I will leave it at that. Isela and Justina, it's your show.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, morning, whatever time zone you're in. We appreciate you joining us today. We have a very interesting conversation that we're going to have with 2 outstanding guests and 2 fairly new, but not so new moderators. I'm very excited to be able to actually be in a conversation in comparison to Mr. Ricky Smith. So that's very nice for my start of my day. That's going to make for a good week. I'm going to be riding on cloud 9 for the rest of the time. But I do know that it's not about me. It's about finding out more about Miss Christina as well as Miss Appy. I'm going to let Isela do the introductions.
Thank you so much, Justina. I too look forward to learning more about Christina and Appy today. And I would like to share a bit about them with those who are listening in so that we can learn more about them throughout this next hour. Today, our leaper is Appy Appulingam. Ms. Appy is the Chief Development Officer and oversees a multi-billion-dollar program tasked with making critical improvements and developing new infrastructure, both at Philadelphia International Airport and the Northeast Philadelphia Airport through architectural, engineering, environmental, planning, and sustainability projects. Ultimately, she is responsible for bringing innovation to the airfield, terminals, and roadways at both airports. Prior to her current role, Ms. Appulingam served as the Philadelphia office leader for RS&H Incorporated and national provider of architecture, engineering, and consulting services. There, she led significant aviation development projects for general aviation and commercial service airports in the U.S. and internationally. Ms. Appulingam earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering from Texas A&M University and a Master of Business Administration and Project Management / Corporate Finance from the University of Dallas. She is a registered professional engineer and an accredited airport executive. Ms. Appulingam serves as the Philadelphia chapter's immediate past president for Women's Transportation Seminar and as the vice chair for the American Association of Airport Executives Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. She is also a member of the Board of Trustees for the Free Library of Philadelphia. Ms. Appulingam is passionate about mentoring and supporting the next generation of STEM professionals and mentors young women ages 13 to 18 as a part of the WTS Transportation U program, which provides a hands-on interactive introduction to a wide variety of transportation careers. In 2017, Ms. Appulingam was recognized by the Society of Women Engineers as a Woman Engineer You Should Know. And this recognition is for women engineers blazing new trails in a traditionally male-dominated field, aiming to make the world a better place. In 2021, the Philadelphia Business Journal recognized her as a woman of distinction for blazing trails across the greater Philadelphia's business landscape with her leadership, vision, and tenacity. In 2021, Ms. Appulingam also was recognized by Airport Business Magazine as the top 40 under 40, which showcases the aviation industry's top talent working to make a positive impact on the way the aviation system works. In 2024, AMAC recognized her with the Airport Design Innovation and Inclusion Award for her leadership in innovative airport design projects while promoting diversity and inclusion within the aviation industry. Additionally, the Asian American Chamber of Commerce of Greater Philadelphia recognized her with an Impact Award for going beyond the call of duty to make meaningful contributions to support and promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. Welcome, Appy. We look forward to learning more about you. What a great bio.
Thank you for reading that. You might want to drink some water now because that was a little too much. But yes, thank you.
I have my water right here, but please, I look forward to learning more and to the point where your bio begins to grow as you continue to excel in your career. Introducing our legend, Miss Christina Cassotis. Miss Christina is the CEO of Pittsburgh International Airport and has reshaped the long-term strategy for the region's airport and is actively redefining what it means to be an airport. Mic drop. Christina, we are looking forward to learning so much from you as well, and I cannot wait to hear more about your journey and where it has led you to today.
Thank you.
To start us off, I would like to ask question number one, and I know we weren't prepared with questions, but this is a question I have for every professional, just to kind of dive deep back into history a bit. If you could ask if you look back at 10-year-old you, would you think you would be in the shoes you fill today?
Would we be doing what we're doing today?
Yes.
Oh God, no. No. I mean,
What did 10-year-old you think you would be doing? And is she proud of who you've become today in the profession you followed?
Oh, certainly. I mean, listen, for any of us on this call, we should all be really proud of where we are. It's a great industry and it needs good thinkers and it needs people paying attention to making it work for everybody. So yes, I think she would be proud. At 10, I don't know. I probably wanted to be a school teacher or I just wanted to be in charge, frankly. That's what I'd say. I don't know what I wanted to
Box
be.
check.
Yeah, I was going to say you did it.
You did it.
Oh, come on. It's all relative, right? We all have bosses. But yes, I can't even imagine what I wanted to do at 10. I don't know. And we didn't have visibility into stuff like kids do today. So I'm not sure I would have really been exposed to much. And my mother was a stay-at-home mom. A lot of my friends' moms stayed at home or had jobs where they were helping out with finances, but they weren't necessarily the main participants in the household economy. So being paid, let's face it, they were unpaid, but I'm not sure I would have had any idea. So how about you, Appy?
So 10 is when my parents immigrated to this country. So I came to the United States. I turned 10 that year. I was just thinking this question. I was not going to be an engineer. With a South Asian background, my parents were mentally brainwashing all their children to be doctors, right? So somewhere along those lines, I think that's what I thought I wanted to do. But I also was navigating a new country. English was my second language. I was moved to New York City, Queens, Flushing, Queens, where the nanny's from, those that watch The Nanny. So if 10-year-old me would have known anything about aviation, nope. 10-year-old me would have thought women were in leadership positions, probably not, right? It's not that I wouldn't have wanted to do it, but I just didn't see that. And just like Christina, it sounds like my mom was also a stay-at-home mom. My dad is a civil engineer, so I saw the engineering there, but didn't connect that with me. But I think I was just trying to figure out who I was and how I needed to fit into a new country that we had just moved to.
Where'd you move from in India?
I'm not Indian, by the way. My nationality is Sri Lankan. So we
Sri
had just
Lanka.
moved from Sri Lanka. Yeah.
I thought you said India. Forgive me. I should
No
not have
worries.
assumed.
No worries.
So you moved from Sri Lanka to Flushing, Queens?
Yeah, my parents, my dad got a work visa, and my mom's family was in Connecticut, so they sponsored us, and his company sponsored him. So we lived in Connecticut for a short bit, and then New York City is where we went because that's where his employer was. So yeah.
So we lived in Hong Kong when I was 3. My father was a pilot. And when we moved back, we moved to Connecticut. So that's very
Oh,
funny. But decades apart. So anyway.
Nutmeg State. I still remember that, Nutmeg State.
Very, very cool. I think that is a actually good transition into what my first question, which I kind of gave you a little heads up on, Miss Christina, is what are you doing to make airports cool again? Most recently, I should say. I'm sure you try and do a lot of things, but what do you think has been a success that you've had recently to make airports cool again?
Talking about what we do at them. I think a lot of people take us for granted, and it drives me crazy. We all just saw what happened in London. Remember that? Remember the ash cloud? If some of the younger women on this call remember when all of European airspace was shut down, I think in 2010, when there was a volcanic ash cloud coming from Iceland, and it shut, air travel down for days. And all of a sudden people were like, well, wait a minute, how's the coffee getting here? We need aviation to work, and airports are a critical part of the ecosystem. I will say, as I have said before, I don't think we get the credit we deserve for the work we do. And I really care that people understand what we make possible every day. So my goal is to shine a light on what most people don't know. I said to my team once at an all hands meeting, and there were 300 people in a room, and I said, how many of you get the question, do you fly for free? Every single hand went up. Because people don't know what we do. So I think when people find out, or when I sit next to somebody on a plane and they say, what do you do? And I say, I work at an airport. They're like, well, what do you do at the airport? I say, I'm the CEO. At least 5 out of 10 times people say, I didn't know airports had CEOs. I thought the airlines ran them. So my goal is to let people know that there's a lot you can do here, and it's really cool because every day is different and every day is exciting, and you're plugged into a global system, and there's just so much we can learn from people who do things differently. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I think airports are very good environments for doing different things that you wouldn't expect you would normally do. And speaking of which, Appy, what would you say is the coolest project that you worked on, or that your team, please excuse me, has worked on or executed?
I'll speak about today, what we're doing today. So I've been at the airport now, I'll be celebrating 6 years in June. And I inherited a capital program. And now it's a new capital program that I'm overseeing. But in the last few years, we've been focusing on 2026, which is the semi-quincentennial of the United States, the 250th birthday, and Philadelphia being the birthplace of the country. There's going to be a lot of eyes and hopefully feet in Philadelphia. We're also one of the FIFA host cities. We're just actually talking about that in a meeting just now about what games we're going to be hosting. We're actually going to be hosting games on 4th of July. On Independence Day, we're going to have FIFA World Cup games here. And then there's also going to be baseball, basketball, golf. I don't follow those sports, so I don't know exactly what those names are for those equivalencies, but those equivalencies of those sports happening also in 2026 here. And so our city is going to have a lot of people, and us being basically the front door to global travel and even domestic travel, we want to make sure we give a great first impression. And we have an old airport here. I have really older facilities than Christina does. I don't brag about it. It's really, it's old. We recognize it and we really need to do something about it, but it won't happen before 2026. But what can I do before 2026? And that's where I'm really proud of my team in the last few years, thinking outside the box and how we can bring our capital program to deliver those guest experiences for those passengers that are coming through those terminals, rebuilding our bathrooms, something I talk about almost every day. All of our passenger-facing bathrooms are getting rebuilt. And when we rebuild them, right, we're putting lactation suites, we're putting adult changing rooms, we're adding service animal relief areas, things that typically people don't think are associated with the restroom, and they shouldn't be part of a restroom, but they're part of our program built separately adjacent to them. We're modernizing our hold rooms, upgrading garage infrastructure, a whole lot of things for about $500 million. And so right now the clock's ticking for my team and I. We have 9 months to deliver on that. So that's, for me, really exciting. I work really well under pressure. In college, cramming like the night before and then acing the test, you feel really good. But the day before, you're like, why did I wait till the last minute? But then you pull it off, right? And you get an A or whatever. And so that's what I feel like we're doing right now, is that, sure, could we have gotten a head start much earlier? Possibly. But I think the pressure that we're under, and also I think we have the skill set to deliver. So it's a good combination. And that's really right now what's exciting for me, is that we're going to deliver something really quickly in a short time frame, and hopefully passengers and others that go through our airport will notice.
That is amazing. Adult changing rooms. You don't know how much that is needed. I mean, when you're on a long leg and you're getting ready to go on another long flight to fly internationally, sometimes you want that change of clothes, and you got to make sure.
I think she means
The adult changing rooms for
adults
for people that for
ADA.
people that need additional, but anybody could use it, right?
Yeah,
Anyone
that is
could use it.
amazing.
Yes.
Because everybody needs service. I
Yes.
love to hear that. That kind of is a perfect segue in your mention of your college years of learning, not learning to cram, but cramming and then acing the test, right? You both had mentioned earlier that women in a professional setting was not something that you saw growing up. You saw your mothers be homemakers. I'm curious to learn about your journey through your academic career, going into your professional career, and what that looked like. I mean, was it encouraged, or was it frowned upon? Did you have to fight against a lot of change for yourself and making way for yourself as a woman, going into
How did you get
academia?
into
When
aviation? A lot of people are
Yeah, I'm
invited to aviation. They don't
curious.
necessarily pursue it. So how did you get into aviation?
I'm curious.
Christina, you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. So it was assumed that I would go to college. I grew up in, a middle-class family. My father was an airline pilot. He worked for Pan Am, so he was flying around the world. And my friends' parents were, having dinner together every night, and we weren't. We had a sort of an unusual upbringing in a very small town. So I'm the oldest of four, and my parents had a college in mind for me. I didn't like it, so I flunked out. 7 Fs and a B+, and it was my sophomore year. Yeah, that's the face see, Justina, your face is the face my parents had when I came home, and I'm like, well, because I didn't want to go there. And it was actually the most freeing thing I've ever done, because I just thought, this is my life and I'm not doing it this way. So I moved to Boston and I waitressed and bartended, and then 6 years later called and said, I think I'm ready to go back to school. And my parents said, we have 3 other kids. You're on your own, kid. So I paid to go back to school by myself and went nights and got a degree in English. And along the way, found my way into Massport in the communications department. Then got recruited into consulting. So Appy, I'm interested in your consulting background because I think it really is a great way to be an operator, is having had to take care of clients, because internally that's what we do all day. I'm sure you'd agree. I got into aviation because Massport was recruiting somebody in the comms department, and I was working for another state agency in communications, and I just thought, I didn't even know these jobs existed at airports, and I got in. Stayed for 4.5 years, was then recruited into SH&E, which was a boutique consultancy, worked my way up into leading a global airport practice, and then got the job for Pittsburgh. So it's a very circular, kind of not linear, not planned, but I don't regret any of it, including the flunking out. It's a great story now.
And that your
I got a B
parents are
plus in
still
my-
very proud of you now.
Yeah,
I was
they
gonna
are.
ask you, what was the B plus in?
Yeah, the B plus was in a Spanish phonetics class because I loved it so much I couldn't not go. The other thing is my father really wanted me to be a business major, and I was like, I got into it was boring to me. I thought, I can't, if I spend my life doing this would, who wants this? So, yeah, and I had his flight benefits for a couple of years, so I would run around the world, which made them a little cranky too, because I'd never told them where I was going. But it's, it all works out.
Very good.
Awesome story. And Christina, I've seen your TED Talk, so I know I've heard you talk about bartending as well, right? And you did that. The skills that you learned
Those
through
are
that.
the ones that work.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, great TED Talk, by the way.
Thank you.
That was great. How did I get my start? So as I said, I didn't think I was going to be an engineer. I thought I was going to be a doctor, all up until even going to college. I went to Texas A&M University. So my journey takes me from New York City to Houston, Texas. Once again, moving along with my family because I was too young to make a decision for myself at that time. But starting in Houston high school, and then went to Texas A&M because my big brother was going there. And I entered actually into the pre-dental program. One thing I did figure out for myself was I didn't want to be on call. I'm surrounded by a lot of medical professionals in my family, and I see the life that they lead. And I was like, I don't want to be waking up at 5 a.m. or 2 a.m. and being on call. That didn't sound too good. But then I had heard when you're a dentist, you could have normal hours and you don't have to be on call. So I said, checking the box for my family to be in the medical professional, and then checking a box for me to have work-life balance. I didn't know what work-life balance was, but I knew that I needed to not be on call and work all the time. So then I entered as a zoology major at Texas A&M, which is a pre-dental program. And similar to Christina, I failed biology. There was 1 F in my report card and the others were better grades, but 1 F in biology. And at that point, that's when I was like, okay, I can't do this. This is not what I need. I want to do. Obviously, my heart's not in it. I don't want to memorize and spit it out. That's what biology was all for me. I didn't understand anything, right? It was definitions. So that's when my second semester, freshman year, my parents and all of us, including my brother, had a family meeting because this is family discussions, right? Talking about life. And it's like, okay, what do you really want to do? And one thing I was really good at since I was a young girl was math and science. And those came easily to me. And my grades also proved that. And so seeing my dad as a civil engineer was somehow, I think, subconsciously in my brain telling me somewhere along the line, that's kind of what I wanted to do. And so when the decision came, like, what do you want to change your major to? I chose civil engineering because I like the idea of going from nothing, right? An idea of building something to actually seeing it built and putting all that effort and energy and teamwork and all that. And so that's what pushed me towards civil engineering, and I entered civil engineering. However, I still didn't know there was a whole aviation industry until my college senior year when I was dropping my resume at college career fairs, and a company called RSNH was there, and they were looking for somebody to join their aviation practice. And I was like, aviation. Who knew there was such a thing? Because I had learned about roads and bridges, right? But I never learned about aviation. And someone that grew up abroad and also traveled to a lot of different countries, I love traveling and I loved going through an airport. And so I thought, why not help build those airports that I'm traveling through and to and from, right? And so that's how I got into aviation. And did I see women in my college class, actually graduating class? I would say it was 50-50. So I'm class of 2004. And it was 50-50, my graduating class. When I entered the workforce, right, I saw women in lower levels, but never women in high ranking positions, right? And so as I also climbed up the corporate ladder, it was less and less women. And then when I was on the consulting side, right, and serving clients who are airports, I never saw an airport CEO that was a woman either. It was a lot of men that were in leadership positions. So it was not something that I was striving for, but it was something I noticed. And I think, again, subconsciously made a determination that I was just going to get good at what I did, not necessarily strive for a certain position, but just get good at what I do so that I could rise up in whatever role that I had. And then it wasn't until 6 years ago, Shelley Cameron, our former CEO, asked me if I was interested in joining the airport side or ever thought about joining the airport side. I said, okay, maybe I should give it a shot. And actually, initially, I counted myself out for it. It's a story I love to tell, especially if there are young moms listening today. I had just had my twins. And I thought to myself, right, no one is going to hire a young mom, a new mom with babies to lead a multi-billion-dollar capital program because they're going to think that, okay, she doesn't have large hub airport experience, meaning working at the airport. She hasn't led a big billion-dollar project. I thought they were just going to see my resume to check a box, like diversity box or something, right? And so I was like, okay, I'll do it. And my husband, who I still credit to this day, who said, what's the worst that's going to happen? If you don't get the job, you're okay. If you get the job, think of the opportunities that you will get. And so I applied and I got the role. So here I am 6 years later. So my advice to anybody here that ever thinks that, you're not in the running or you don't deserve the position is hopefully you're surrounded by people that tell you otherwise and give you that courage to, explore those opportunities.
Absolutely. I love that story. When you talk, and that's one of those invitations to aviation that I mentioned, is that's how I got into aviation too, as an invitation. Procurement was a common denominator. And I say that as a precursor to the next questions that I ask, because I'm procurement everywhere I go, right? So let me ask you, what are you doing to enable folks to have access to your airports differently than they've had access to it before? That can be in terms of procurement, or that can be in terms of HR, because that would be another question that I have is like, how are you resolving the issues around recruiting and retaining professionals in your airports? So you can choose which one you want to answer.
I'll jump in. So I would say that what we're doing to enable access for more people that perhaps have participated in the past is looking at it in every single thing we do. So if I think about how we started from the perspective of, when I got here 10 years ago, my message was the hub's over, the industry has changed, let's be a really good origin and destination airport, and let's be one of the best, right? I have said frequently that I think that there's more we can do with airports in the US. There's a lot more we should be doing. And so I was looking for ways of getting people to think differently everywhere, right? Not just people in leadership, but everywhere. And so to me, innovation is doing anything better, doing anything differently, and does not necessarily involve technology. So our first project was Presley's Place. And this came from one of our snowplow operators who has a son with autism. He dropped a note in the CEO mailbox and said, a sensory room has really helped my son with preschool. I'm guessing families aren't traveling if they have family members who have sensory processing issues. And I said, okay, this is going to be our first innovation project because there's nothing to do with technology. And let's put together a cross-functional team, and don't just talk to the alphabet organizations, talk to families, talk to people with autism. And we designed a room. We put an adult changing table into a restroom next door to it. We built a suite of sensory rooms, and we got donations to build it, and our staff did the actual work. And we had people just saying, we've never considered traveling. And do you know what it's like to travel with a child who grows up to be an adult with disabilities, and you have to roll out a yoga mat in order to change them, right? So to me, that was the first. We have since expanded. I've hired an experience in design team for human-centered design in our new terminal in order to bring in all principles of universal access everywhere. Everything from the website to the parking, people who are colorblind, who have disabilities, so that we can make sure everybody can access and comfortably navigate the airport, regardless of language or, abilities, etc. We have worked on, we've used our entire, $1.x billion construction site as a huge advertisement for people who might want to skip college and go into the building trades. We stood up a workforce development program by figuring out where the access to opportunity challenges were, and big surprise, childcare and transportation. So we built a childcare center on site at the airport. And at 61 kids, opened it up to the entire campus, wanted to make sure that for the Chick-fil-A worker who chose to go through badging and security every day, instead of working at the same one downtown, that they'd have some benefit to that. And we rerouted bus lines from neighborhoods that we didn't see a lot of employment participation in. We stood up a 5-week pre-apprentice program. We've had a 90% placement rate, and they're not our employees. But what we were saying is, how do we help build a community? Is, well, you make sure that you've got a workforce that can build. And we have worked on our DBE outreach program is phenomenal. We hold bonding classes in the neighborhoods. We do Meet the Primes days. We say, we monitor to make sure it's not just the same contractors over and over again, working with the same group of folks, that there's actually community building going on with small businesses. We spend a lot of time thinking about how, as I say, that we represent the community we serve. And that's a global community. So thinking about that, I would say, is really what drives us, and the impact has been substantial, and we're not done yet.
That's awesome. I hear a couple of boxes being checked on making the airport cool with all of that you have described. I don't believe I've heard that at a lot of places.
I'm guessing you haven't, because it's
Yes.
not really true. And we're as focused on our staff experience. So when we started our $1 billion+ construction program, I was a little surprised to hear how airports get built. The architects and engineers come in, and then the contractors come in, and 6 months before you bring your team in. And I was like, no, we're going to bring our folks in. So we started ORAT in design. In design, every single person on this team is a subject matter expert in painting and plumbing and HR and finance. You're a subject matter expert. So our entire program has gone through staff design for input. We're 6 months out from opening, and we're already training. We've been training our folks on new technologies, new systems for, years. And by the time we open, we expect that people will know how to run it. They will know what they're doing, what their place is, how they can help, and they won't be stressed out. Something's going to go wrong on day one. So we'll be able to fix it. And I think that there's a lot that people know. They're dying to tell you, and you don't have to take all the suggestions, but it does help to listen.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Kudos to you, Christina. The daycare, amazing.
Yeah,
It's
a huge recruiting tool, I can tell you.
It's on my wish list. And definitely what a attractive feature to have for employees, especially the frontline employees and those that need this. Really amazing. I'll get some notes from you down the road when we get closer to something like that. I can't top what Christina said in terms of procurement. I'll talk about, human connection to aviation and how to make sure those little girls and boys think about aviation as a career, early on, and not like me, when I was 22 years old, or, a lot of other folks as later in their career or life. So we do a lot of outreach into the communities. As the Department of Aviation, we have a community engagement team that goes out to local and nearby high schools, elementary schools, to bring different folks in the aviation industry and spotlight them and the careers that they have. Because like Christina said, a lot of people think that we're all pilots and that we are on an airplane. But our responsibility is from the boarding bridge, right, to your car door. And a lot of people don't realize that there's a whole, professional career that you could build in many different fields to address that. And so I participate in a lot of the events that the airport does. So do a lot of other colleagues, because it's not just an engineer, right? You could be a lawyer, you could be an accountant, you could be in any profession, really. I have a geologist on my staff. I have, environmental scientists, planners, and that's just my team. And there's a whole lot of other folks as well. And then personally, I'm passionate about this as well. So when I take off my DOA hat and I just put on my Oppie hat and what I want to do for the little Oppies in the world, and I start young, like my boys, they're in first grade right now, and starting in kindergarten, simple thing. I'm saying this again, not to give myself a pat on the back, but all the simple things you could do to reach that one individual that maybe, they heard something, right? Reading month, I think it's Reading Awareness Month in March. And so their school always asks for parents to come and read. And one of the books that I read is 2 books actually I read. One is a book that I got through WTS, which is called My Mommy is an Engineer. And it's about moms who are engineers, right? And so these moms are building rockets, submarines, skyscrapers, bridges. And so I go and read that book, and I read another book called Macy Gets on an Airplane. So I want to tie together engineering and aviation. And now I'm known as Nandan's mom, or Quinn's mom, who's an engineer. And I'm really proud of that title. So when I go to their school, they're like, oh, that's Nandan's mom is an engineer, and I'm like, that's right. And when I see the little girls in the room, especially who are donned in pink and glitter, right? And I'm like, that's how I was too. I was like, you could wear pink and you could wear high heels and you could wear all these things and you could be an engineer and you can go on a construction site and be a boss, right? Because I think those are the things that little girls don't realize you could do, because you don't see that representation often. And so when I do go to the classroom, I do tend to outwardly express all that too. So I'm in pink, right? I'm wearing like anything that's shiny and sparkly, so that they can relate and they can have that picture in their mind when they grow up. So I think individually, all of us can do a lot, even with our organizations or outside of our organizations, is to spread the word about the various career options in aviation. And it's not you have to do it. It's an option you can choose to do or not to do, right? So.
Very cool. I know you have the next question. I'm so excited. Go ahead. I'll let you have it.
Go ahead, Justina. Go ahead, Justina, because I'm sure you have a fun follow-up to
I do
that.
have a fun follow-up.
Yes.
So you mentioned and I know about the misnomer about work-life balance. And so I always like to ask a question that's somewhat related to it. And it kind of hinted a little bit, Appy, and I heard a little bit in yours, Christina, that made me want to ask this question. But what was the last time that you took for yourself? What was the last great vacation? Or if you haven't had one recently, what's the next big one that you planned? Is that a head shake that I saw towards a no for you, Christina?
Oh, no, I'm very good at this. As a matter of fact, I say to my team, if you're calling back on vacation, you're not a good leader. If you can't take time off, that means you have not actually built a team you trust. I don't want to hear from you. So I was my kid goes to school in Scotland. We were over for Thanksgiving, and it's cooking for 25 kids of various backgrounds, who are some American, some not, and just, hanging out. I'm good at taking a break. I am a big believer that if you're not good, nobody else is good, and nobody needs a martyr. Nobody. I don't
Absolutely.
believe in it, and I don't encourage it.
That's good. I like that saying, if you're not vacationing right, you're not leading right, you haven't built the right team. That's good.
And
Yeah.
sometimes you haven't. I get it,
Mhm.
and you still need a break, and that's okay. But the goal is that you should be able. If we need just you, the organization's in trouble. Then you're a single point of failure, and that's how siloed organizations work. Information is power. You can't know what I know. That we don't work that way.
Absolutely. I had a boss tell me early in my career, he said, Justine, if you're the only one that can do what you're doing, you're never going to do anything else. Well, that
That's
scared
right.
me straight. I was like,
That's a good
okay,
one
we'll
too.
find somebody else so
I
I
like
can move
that.
on. I don't want to do this forever. Oppie, go ahead.
I'm with Christina. One thing I say is it's not a badge of honor to tell me how many hours of vacation you have. Especially in a public agency, you collect those hours really quickly. And I have team members that sometimes say I have like 200 hours of vacation. I'm like, and what are you going to do with it? Right. So, and you're also setting a bad example if you're vocalizing that as like a badge of honor, like to the younger staff in the room. I come from, the private sector where you use it or lose it. Right. So I had to always use it or figure out a way to use it. So, but here's my thing is I believe in it. I believe like everybody should be taking vacation, but when you're a mom of like small children, I don't know if when you ask the question of like, have you taken time for yourself? I don't think so. The last vacation I had, we went to Denmark last year, one of the new nonstop flights from PHL. The reason we chose it was because Denmark is the home of the first Legoland.
Yeah. Get it.
So now I'm on vacation, yes. However, I'm with like at the time 2 6-year-olds and a husband who's a big kid. All love Legos, right? And so I'm just the fourth wheel in this vacation. So I haven't actually taken a vacation for myself, which I feel like I need to, right? With girlfriends, which I used to before I got married and had children. I do take vacation because I want to walk my talk so my team can see and people can see that I'm on vacation. But for me though, I don't know if I've taken a true vacation in a
It was
long
the voice
time.
quiver. For me, though.
Yeah. Soon, maybe soon, maybe hopefully one day I will get back into just like girl time, right? Not child time. So
Girls'
yeah.
trips are the best. They've been getting a lot of fanfare lately. They've put together so many amenities. I hope the next time that we have a conversation, you will tell me that you have one planned or have recently
Yes.
taken one.
I'll try.
That's the
try.
goal.
It is Women's History Month, so I vote for a girls' trip. All right, so I'll follow up with a question from the previous question. It sounds like you both are focused in making accessibility a thing in your airports for those with disabilities to travel comfortably and to feel welcomed at your airports, right? I'm curious to hear what your efforts are when it comes to training your staff, right? Because that's a different set of personnel coming through your airport that is going to be interacted with, and understanding that all disabilities aren't visible. How do you implement the appropriate training programs for the internal staff to be able to accommodate those that you are welcoming and want to make sure that they get a holistic experience?
Well, you start by hiring people who are kind and have empathy and aren't assholes. I mean, you can start there, right?
Right.
To be
Yeah.
candid. And you can, if you find out somebody doesn't fit the mold, then perhaps they would be better to take their talent elsewhere. I think that one of the things that I believe in strongly is not everybody is ready for everything at the same time. So we do a lot around training. We do a lot around awareness. We participate in the Sunflower Disability, the Hidden Sunflower, the Hidden Disabilities Program, the Sunflower Program. We built Presley's Place. We had mothers' nursing lounges in the terminals and in our staff area 3 years before they were mandated. I mean, it just makes sense, right? It makes sense. So there's a lot that we do to make sure that people feel like they belong here and that we want their travel to be the same as anybody else's. And you know that 9 times out of 10, whenever you do anything for the quote unquote accessibility, folks who need accessibility accommodations, it always ends up benefiting everybody else. It just does, right? So it's through our experience in design team, we spend a lot of time on what we call our We Got You program. And it's making sure that our ambassadors, our volunteer ambassadors, have at their fingertips all the data that they need to help anybody, because usually we're the ones that get the questions if nobody's at the airline ticket counter or somebody's not in baggage claim. And how do we help people who genuinely don't know what to do? What can we do for them? I don't know if any of you have ever had the experience of just feeling like so overwhelmed by travel. This happened to me about three years ago. I was connecting from London to Madrid, and I left my passport on the plane, and it was a remote hard stand, and I couldn't connect. And I was meeting my son, and I had business meetings, couldn't reach the embassy in the US because, of the time change, and I couldn't reach anybody at the embassy in the UK. And there was I just sat on the ground, and I just sat. And I thought, if I run an airport and I'm overwhelmed, what are you going to do if you're traveling for the first time and you have 3 little kids with you? What would you do? And what came back to me is, we'll get you the passport within a couple of days. We have to wait for the cleaners to come off the planes and this, that, and the next thing. And so to me, the whole point is you have to take care of people with people when they're in trouble. It's not going to be a technology solution. Nobody's going to say, I am a big believer that airports are portals to something really important to that person. They come in at 10. When things go wrong, they go to 12, 15 immediately. It's a crisis. And we can really make a difference if we are able to help. And so to me, that means anybody, regardless of what language they speak, regardless of how old they are or what their abilities are. We have an obligation and responsibility to make sure we can try to do our best to help.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. I would sometimes, when I used to sit on design review teams, I'd be like, have you guys not traveled recently? I mean, like,
Well, I'll tell you, when we were looking at our parking services, we were switching vendors, and we brought in a team to do service design. And I thought, well, what does that mean? I mean, you just need it to work. And what you really have to understand, you really have to define that so that when you leave, that legacy is left. And one of the folks who was leading the team was like, I can't get anybody to pay attention. I said, okay, put a bunch of numbers in a hat. And I said to my senior team, everybody pick a number. Tomorrow you are assigned to park all day in an assigned lot. You must reserve yourself or pull up. I don't care how you do it. You may not use your admin. And then you have to go walk back at the end of the day, find your car, and it changed everything. Because none of our right? We all park in our parking spaces. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, we have a lot to fix. Great. Let's go. So I think that what happens is people forget what it means to be a passenger in a new place.
Well, that's a good one. Sorry, Abby.
Yeah, I'm taking mental notes of everything Christina is saying, and love it. And absolutely hiring people that have the right intent and also have the right skill set for executing projects with accessibility is really key. I think one thing I'll add, which I love hearing when others talk about, is lessons learned. And for example, with our restroom program, we brought on our first adult changing room, I think 2 years ago or 3 years ago. We were all very proud. Our accessibility coordinator, she herself is in a wheelchair. And so we felt like, okay, we have a strong ally here that's going to help us determine what's best. And we're going to be shouting from the rooftop that we did it and like, look at us, right? And we built it, we opened it, and then some of the comments started coming in, which was the table that we had, the adult table that we had, was fixed. And it was not.
It wasn't adjustable.
It was not adjustable. But Christina, we had the experts, everybody that was telling us,
But
like,
you have to talk to the people who
Yeah.
know this. You have to talk
Yeah.
to users, because that's the first thing that they said to us. That's so interesting to me, because I said, oh, adjustable. And people said yes, because when sometimes, right,
Yep.
they have to get on at a lower level and then you have to be raised. And I was like,
Yep.
fascinating. I would never have known that. That's so interesting.
I didn't know it either. And neither did our accessibility coordinator, right? That we were relying on to help us, and others too. We trusted our folks' expertise. We built it, we opened it, we got comments. But for me, it was, I think, something we did with good intention,
Yes.
but we made a mistake, right? And so we acknowledged it, we owned it, and we said, we're going to fix it. And that was a great way for us to know and to learn too. Next time, maybe reach wider with the expertise that we were looking at. So we have been doing that moving forward, right? And maybe we'll make another mistake. Who knows, right? But we have, our intentions are in good place, right? And we have a team assembled to, on various projects, not just with the restroom, on a roadway rehab where we're milling and paving, we're looking at the handicap ramps that are on the sidewalks. When we're doing a whole room modernization, we're looking at the rail heights and seeing, are those meeting, accessibility standards. So all of these projects that we bring on in our capital program, we have accessibility lists that we're looking at, and really with good intention addressing them. But sometimes we make mistakes. And for us, it was a moment to say, okay, we made a mistake, but let's just own it, fix it, and make sure we don't do it again. So I think, there's a lot of airports that I travel through and I take pictures, especially of restrooms. I have a whole album on my phone for my kids and restrooms of different airports, because I love to see what others are building. And it's not to necessarily copy paste, but it's what makes sense for Philadelphia, right? And so there's a lot of things that I'm like, this looks great at ABC Airport, but it will be horrible at PHL, right? Because for whatever reason. So, but I'm always telling my team, like, just giving them suggestions, sending them pictures. They've got, God knows how many emails they've gotten from me with restroom photos. And the people in the poor restrooms that see me taking photos, I hope they know I'm like an aviation professional, like doing restroom work, or just a creepy lady taking photos in the restroom. But I am trying to be better every day. My team is trying to be better every day. And I think that's what we can all do, is that we want to make an aviation system work for everybody. And it's not that we are intentionally trying to do the opposite, but sometimes we don't get there. But it's to learn the lesson and then keep moving in the right direction.
Oh, very cool. So I know this is the last question because I see Ramon. So this is the wrap it up question.
Already?
Yeah, I
Time
know
went
this
by
time
so
flies
fast.
when you're having fun. I'm hoping you guys will both be at the forum so I can run into you and ask you a question over some hot tea. But Christina and Api, I'm curious. There's a lot of energy, and you guys have a lot going on, and it's more than a notion to run these airports from whatever position you're running them from. So what do you do daily or regularly, if it's not daily, to refuel yourself so that you have the energy to do what it is that you are thinking about in your head and delegate it, or however the case may be? What do you do daily to refuel, if it's exercise, or reading, or whatever the case may be?
Poppy, you want to go first, since I've been going first all along?
I had a joke to make. You know how airports have I saw it, FLL runs on Duncan. I'm like, I think I need to have a banner that says here, Api runs on Duncan. So if anybody's on Duncan here, don't sponsor me or anything, because I'll get fired. But I think that's what I'm gonna do, is like, Api runs on Duncan. So you'll see me every morning with my Duncan cup. This morning, the Duncan guy reminded me, he's like, are you late for work? And I'm like, oh gosh, they know me so much that they know when I'm late for work. So coffee, and then playing loud music in the drive to work and drive from work. So all sorts of language music. Like I listen to Hindi music. I don't even understand Hindi. I listen to Spanish music, but something loud. So that's the way I start and end my day, is coffee and loud music.
That's very funny.
I love
It's very
that.
funny. Yeah. So I have one child and he's in college, so it changes, right? I can tell you that I start with, I'm a big, if anybody ever read what's her name, Julie Cameron, The Artist's Way. So I do morning pages every morning. I do like 3 pages just to do a brain dump so I get all the crap out of my head. Then I work out, do a lot of yoga, and I play a lot of loud music in the car. Same thing. I tend to listen to classic rock from the 70s and 80s, just to be clear.
To that.
Yacht
a lot of heavy
music. We
metal.
love
Yeah.
yacht music.
Yeah, a lot of heavy metal, and reggae and all that kind of stuff. And then I am pretty good at just trying to make a break when I leave to not. I have to work really hard on Friday nights to do something. Either we go out to dinner, or there's something where it's like I don't just bleed into the weekend where I'm working all weekend. Look, I'm sure we all have. I love what I do. It's not even work. So actually, I actually have to disengage, or I would spend more time here. Because I feel like at some point this won't be my job, and I will be like, shit, you know what I wish I had done? Excuse me, I'm sorry swearing, but I wish I had done something like around whatever. So I don't know. To me, it's just like I get to play. I feel like I'm lucky that I get to do this. And part of relaxing is stopping in and going to field maintenance, or, just seeing how people are doing, learning something new myself. So I'm not really that interesting. I cook. That's what I do. I play in the kitchen on the weekends, but during the week I don't do anything.
It's always the most interesting people who think that they're not at all interesting.
Right. Because Christina, wouldn't you say we learned so much today and are going to leave this call inspired and ready to take on this week's challenges? Thank you so much, Christina and Abby, for sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, your experience to be the launching pad for our week on this Monday morning or afternoon. It's been enjoyable for me to learn and listen from you, as I'm sure it's been for Justina, and everybody on the call. So thank you so much for your time today. I would like to pass it to Ramon to have some closing remarks before we wrap up.
No, definitely. This has been great. And I want to thank our pinch hitting moderators, Justina and Isela. Thank you so much.
Nice job.
Also, our panelists, Appy and Christina, thank you so much. This has been great. Christina, this is probably like the 4th or 5th time I've had
I know.
although I officially didn't interview you, but I've learned so much from you ladies. And so, Appy, basically what I wrote down is make sure not to look at your iCloud account because there are kids in restrooms.
No, not
a
kids
good-
in restrooms, not kids in,
Not kids
restrooms.
and
So
kids
delete the
and.
and, yes.
And that was important in there. Kids and yes.
Yes.
So there's the whole human trafficking thing. And I guess if you are in the Pittsburgh area, you hear Kashmir playing, that's probably Christina Cassotis pulling in the work.
Very loud, very loud. Yeah.
Thank you,
This
everyone.
was great.
No,
Nice
thank you.
job.
This has been phenomenal. This has been recorded. We're going to post it on our YouTube channel. And we hope you can check it out. Thank you as always. Again, be safe out there, and we will see you soon. Take care and have a great evening.
Wow.
Bye-bye.
Didn't hear the
Nice
answer
talking with you
about
all.
Christina and Appy coming to New Orleans. Are you guys
I can't
coming?
make it. I told Ramon this year we're opening this terminal. I'm being really judicious. Next year I promise I'll be there, but I won't be
We'll
there this
see
year.
you.
It's
Make
on
sure you
my
send a
list,
representative.
Justina. It's on my list. Yes.
Oh, very good.
Yes.
I'll be
Yes.
there, and we'll see you next year, Christina.
Yep, come get
All
some
right.
humidity. Take care,
Yeah.
guys.
Okay.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Take care.